I recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Fallon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Admiral, thank you for being here, and General as well, Mr. No. I like to keep things simple, basic. 20 years ago, would you agree, Admiral, that in the last 20 years, China's capabilities and ambitions have grown exponentially?
I have a direct view of that over that 20 years, yes.
And you'd agree they're a military peer now?
I do.
Okay. Same question, General.
Sir, looking through the DPRK lens, I would say yes on both counts.
Thank you. So how many, Admiral, how many Marines do we have on Okinawa today?
18,000.
And was it roughly the same 20 years ago?
20 years ago, it was about the same, yes, sir.
What's the end strength goal right now?
Presently, right now, 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force is at end strength as it's stationed where it is. It really is optimized.
Okay, and so there's no plans to reduce it from, say, 18,000, 19,000 to about half, 10,000?
There is the Defense Policy Renew Initiative, our agreement with Japan, and it's a conditions-based process, and ultimately, 5,000 U.S. Marines are planned to be in Guam, and another 2,700 Marines are planned to be in Hawaii.
So given the considerations that we talk about with China and the threat, it's something that I would recommend we do is to renegotiate with our Japanese friends and keep those 18,000, or that strength, 18 to 19,000. Because if, God forbid, General, how many troops do we have in Korea in the 80s, roughly? Was it about 50,000, is that right?
Congressman, it's a bit lower than that.
In the 40s? 45,000 or so?
A little bit lower than that.
40?
28.
No, so in the 80s, 30 years ago, we only had, I'm not talking today, what was it then?
60.
What was our high strength?
Probably about 60,000 when the division
Okay,
second ID
and what is
was
it now,
formed.
about 30, about half?
About 30, sir.
Okay, so we've established that this threat has grown exponentially, and yet we've reduced our footprint. So God forbid, it's a simple question and an obvious answer, but God forbid there is a conflict on the Korean Peninsula. God forbid the Chinese do cross the Taiwanese Straits. Would you rather have 45 or 50,000 American troops on the peninsula, or would you rather have 30? You know, it's obvious, right?
Yes, Congressman, it's an obvious answer.
And the same
You'd
thing,
always want more,
of course.
but
But the same thing, Admiral, in Okinawa, right? I mean,
If a little bit's good, a whole lot's better. sir.
yeah, and I'm not worried that it's going to capsize either. I think that's going to be solid. So, Admiral, we have a great many allies in the region, wonderful allies. Certainly, so many of them come to mind. But what I wanted to ask is, what country, in your view, is already an established model ally that what is that model ally, and how can we foster more of our relationships to look like that one?
INDOPACOM has 5 of the nation's 6 treaty allies in its AOR, and I have got tremendous pride in our execution of that alliance itself. Japan, South Korea, and Australia are very much model allies in their ability to provide capability, and the Philippines is growing. And we've recently had a very good engagement with Thailand, and they continue to contribute. Yeah,
Thailand's worried me a little bit about cozying up to China. That's why it's so important what we do here. So another question, I'm very curious to hear your answer. Which friend or friendly nation in INDOPACOM presents the most promise and potential benefit for the United States in our interests in the future?
Vietnam and Indonesia, and India.
Yeah.
Absolutely, India above all others.
I noticed in India in 2007, they only bought about $230 million or so dollars worth of military equipment, and today it's neighboring around $24 billion. And it's very promising, but they're still playing with the Russians. And I get why, legacy systems and such, but they're still buying more from Russia. So we really do need to do, what do you think we can do to pull India more towards our sphere, if you will?
India's security cooperation sales with Russia is approximately 30% of their gear. No new buys on this. It's all buys to maintain the vestigial equipment that they had with India. They'll continue to treasure their non-aligned status, but they'll move more and more in partnership with the United States and the other market democracies as we move forward.
And just for the record, Mr. Chairman, I really hope that we do increase our footprint on the Korean Peninsula and in Okinawa. I think it's strategically important and vital, and I yield back. Thank you.